spit hot fire.
I'm God, bitch!
Look up in the sky, is that a goon or green goblin? None of the above, it's a motherfucking dragon. Super Saiyan 2 to a cell, no problem. You put me in a cell, then you got
Bow down, nigga, I'm God, nigga.
What's going on, world? This is your boy Troy, your friendly neighborhood NGTOW, and I am absolutely, positively 112 and 10 and 1,000% your friend. And today we are going to discuss bricks. What are we talking about? Bricks. Now, we're not necessarily talking about drugs, kilos, right? We're not talking about those things that that you see in protests that they throw through windows and nothing like that. No. See, you put bricks, you lay one down, and then you put one next to it, or next to it, or next to it, and then on top, and then you keep stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking, and eventually what you're gonna get is a wall. So that's really what we're talking about today, gentlemen, is the wall. Now, if you are familiar with MGTOW knowledge, with female nature, things of that discord, then you are well aware of what the wall is. But if you're not, then you're in the perfect spot, because I am going to tell you what's going on with women and their wall. So let's talk about the what. What is the wall? The wall, simply put, is when, you know what, let's just start off with an example. Imagine that there's a marathon happening right now, right? And, you're running, and let's say that you're, 13 miles in, or a full marathon, right? It's 26 miles, right? So you're running and you're 13 miles, or 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and all of a sudden, you hit the wall. And there comes that point in time when you hit it, it's almost like your body is drained. You're just done. There's not much more you can do. You push, you really can't push, but then, you find the strength within you to go, and then you muster it up and you catch your second wind. And then once you push through that wall, then you're able to finish the race, and you raise your arms in victory, and everybody loves you, and you get a medal or whatever the hell you get when you finish a marathon. So why are we talking about that? Well, that's what happens to us all, whether you're men or women. But the difference is, when humans hit the wall, there is no second wind. Right? When we hit the wall, we just hit it, and that's just kind of what it is, right? So as it pertains to genders, as it pertains to men, women, things of that nature, it happens to everybody. But now, because this is a MGTOW speaking here, this is a man going his own way, and this is somebody that kind of prides himself on that knowledge. So we're going to take that wall reference, and we are going to talk about women. And why it's important to know this, gentlemen, because see, if you understand this, right, this is one of those keys to unlocking the truth behind female nature. It's one of the keys to unlocking the truth behind the way that society is, the way that things are run. This is part and parcel an important and essential part of your understanding in life, gentlemen. Absolutely. I really don't think that you understand how important this is. So I got to say important at least 3 times. Important. You need to know this, right? So the wall for women is pretty much when, they're doing so good and they're so pretty, and, the world loves them. And then finally they get to this point to where they're old, right? I mean, it sounds simple enough, but we are really going to break that down and really going to talk about what that really means for society, and what that means for you, what that means for women. You see, when we're, and you'll probably hear me say this over and over again, but it really does bear repeating. But, you know, when we're younger, men and women, we're boys and girls, we're pretty much the same. You know, we're all the same. We're all kids. Then women get their shots of grow up juice, right? And then so they start developing breasts and, you know, ass and all this other fun stuff to play with. And then they kind of reach a certain point, and then they just stop, right? But they don't get enough, what I'll say, juice to I'll say turn them into quote unquote full adults. Right? They have enough juice to make them still look youthful, right? They still, in essence, look like children. They look like grown-up children. That's one of the things that, that's why when we look at makeup, why they want the eyelashes and everything like that, because they want the big eyes, right? They want the youthful looking features. I mean, look, it kind of sounds pedophilic or whatever, but really look at like the cosmetics industry, the makeup industry. It is literally there. It is designed to make women look younger and younger and younger. And that's part of the reason why, is because a woman's number one value to the world, and this, I'm just being honest, a woman's number one value to the world, she knows this, you know this, I know this, everybody knows this, but very few people say this, is her youth and fertility. That is the number one thing that we value in a woman, is her youth and her beauty, which kind of transitions into her fertility, because generally speaking, biologically, the more beautiful that you are, right, the better that it says that you, the more fertile that you kind of advertise that you are to the world. And that's why subconsciously we like beautiful people, beautiful women, because we want to, you know, we want to make more little of us, right? My beard doesn't really care about me. It cares about doing its job to make essentially another beard, right? But continuing onward, once they reach around 26-ish, 30-ish, early 20s, late 20s, early 30s, they get another, they get a shot. It's like a shot, another like grow up juice, another shot, right? And so this signals to them that, okay, you know, it's time to get a little bit serious, right? And look, this is one of those things that it almost happens automatically, right? Because from the ages of about, certainly in our culture, 18 to about 25, the world is a woman's oyster. Like, that is the time when, she's at her peak. She's at her peak attractiveness, peak fertility, peak everything. So, this is the time when, like, she's able to walk into the club and be that bitch. Right? She's the one that's able to walk in and just be, and the world just fawns over, oh my God, let me get you a drink. Oh God, you're so beautiful. Let's just like dudes like me that are, that'll come in and we sound so smooth and like everything is going on, got everything together. Like our brains, and this is the way that it's designed, our brains like literally kind of shut down around women, and we're just, hi, but that's what happens. I mean, even then, just being women in general, they get, women literally get away with murder. And we make up something called the pussy pass form, and they just, I was on my period and I had, I was just so overwhelmed with life and I just didn't this and that, and the world just kind of sits there and is like, yeah, I understand why you murdered him and you chopped his dick off, and I get it, and you deserve a second chance. Like, it's that type of shit. And when, especially a younger woman, a younger, beautiful woman, there's almost nothing you can't do that the world just won't, cater to. All right, so we'll take it a step further. And we'll talk about what happens in their late 20s. See, now all of a sudden, they're looking at the next crop. of young women coming in. So now they're no longer the young girls going into the club. Now, in a weird way, you're only 26 as a woman, but you're a seasoned vet. You know, I mean, it's almost like football. Like you started in the league at like 19 or 20 or whatever like that, or however old. And you know, by the time you're 26, it's like, dude, yeah, you're a veteran. You're a veteran of the game, and like that's kind of what this is. You know, you start to show a little bit. Your scars start to your battle scars start to show. You probably been through some relationships. In our generation, I mean, dudes have probably just been fucking ran through you, and it's kind of apparent. Now, some women have I'll say the genetic ability to still kind of hold on, right? And good for you. But, you know, this is like the time, like there's like that peak time, and then there's that time when it's like, okay, all right, it's time to kind of get real. It's time to, you're not as young as you used to be, right? And then comes 30. The big 30. What happens? Why is that such a big deal? Why is that such an important deal for women? Well, because beyond that point, I mean, at that point, a woman's pretty much done, right? They say the wall is about 30. 30, look, if you absolutely, and I mean absolutely push it, let's say that you are that bitch. Let's say that you are that bitch that, you know, you have like the perfect genetic structure. You know, you've taken care of yourself. You've done everything right. You probably haven't slept around. You really kept up with your body and all this other stuff. Like, I'd say you peak, like not peak, but like 40, right? And that's the max. I'm talking like at 40, the women that are still, I'll say, competitively viable. Not necessarily saying that they're the baddest bitches in the world, but the women that are competitively viable, right? Like they can still make something happen. Like they can still go into a club. Like look, it's gonna be obvious they're gonna be out of place, right? But they still look good enough to be there. Like you have to be one of those like Hollywood starlets that get the like you have to be that. But for most women, especially in this culture, this day and age, with all the toxins that we ingest, all the bullshit that we watch, all the things that kind of just go into our systems and that just break us down, like by 30. I mean, hell, we can look at most, you know, I'd say internet dating profiles, but we look, we could just walk the streets and we could point them out. So, you know, there comes that time to about, we'll say the mid-range is 35, right? And, you know, what do they say? And this is what a lot of women say, right? Well, women, we actually, we get more sexual in our mid-30s. So we're like, because they talk about, you know, guys was like, oh yeah, we're guys, we're horny and this and that in our early 20s. We're just horny. We want to get it on. And what, especially old bitches, this is what old bitches say. Well, you know, in our mid 30s, that's when we reach our sexual peak. That's when we want to, no. Right? If that's the case, and look, maybe this is just subjective experience right here. I mean, I can't say across the board, but if that's the case, then why are these bitches getting ran through now? All right. If that's the case, then why is it that, you know, you look around and women have body counts like soldiers do in Iraq? Like some of these women are just ruthless with their pussy. Like it is amazing, right? But taking it a step further, right? When you reach about 35, the reason for why that is, and well, my sexual, and here's what a lot of, and these women, they'll tell you this, but you also have to look at their background, right? A lot of these women, they're either married, they've been married at least once or twice, right? And, you know, my sexual peak and is at 35 and this and that. Well, in essence, what they're telling you is that I didn't get my freak out in my early 20s when I really wanted to. And at 30, 35, 40, in that mid-range, that is when, you know, it's almost like the last hurrah. It's the last call, right? Just like at the bar, it's the last call. You know, this is the like, look, if that's the girl you want to go talk to, it's the last call, your last drink. Go on, you make your play, homeboy, make your play, because you know at this point, you know, when you're 35, like that time is quickly approaching. And look, it's weird. The older we get, the faster time goes. So 5 years, and that's the thing. I'm still in my 20s, so you know, but I'm starting to see it now. And I can certainly see that, you know, 5 years, like when you're in your 30s, is like, I don't know, what would it be like as a kid? I don't know, maybe like a month or 2 months or a summer vacation or something like that. Like, time feels a lot different, so your body's letting you know that. So for these women, they get another shot of grow-up juice, which is, you know, testosterone. Like, they get that shot that hurry the fuck up. You know, and when they get that, yes, they get more horny, they get more anxious, they get more rambunctious, they get more, you know, they want to explore more and do more and this and that. Not necessarily because, like, it's just like, oh, I'm a woman, and I'm like, no, that's your body telling you, bitch, this is your last call. This is the last chance that you're gonna have a healthy baby. You know, if you're having, like, honestly, if you're having kids in your 40s, like, every age, like, the older you get, the more old your eggs get. The more old your eggs get, you know, the worse off your children would be. Your first of all, and they've done studies on this, the older that you have a child, particularly as a woman, the older you have a child, the uglier they are, on average, the lower IQ, on average, just pretty, and they're more likely to be born with birth defects and diseases and all kinds of things. So your body is naturally telling you, look, this is a thing that has developed literally over thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of years, and it's saying, hey, this whole genetics thing, I've been doing this for a while now, and I'm telling you, this is your point. So they get that juice, and they, you know, and this is where some women, this is kind of like their quote unquote midlife crisis, where they, you know, oh my God, have I married the right guy? Am I doing the right things? Am I, you know, I only got my last shot or my last this and that, but on the whole, the wall is hit, right? It is hit, and there is no rebounding, right? There is absolutely, positively no rebounding. So let's talk a little bit more about what this means, right? What this means for women and what it means for men. Now, obviously, I kind of explained what it meant for women, right? What it means for women is you know, like I say, the number one thing that this world values in women is their youth and their beauty. So once that leaves, once that's gone, then what else is there? I mean, sure, by that time, you know, hopefully they have a career or something. I don't want to say hopefully they have a career. Like, honestly, hopefully they're in a place where they can be moms, be a stay-at-home mom or something like that. That's really you know, now I'm sounding like a traditional conservative over here, but, you know, studies say that that's when women are the most happiest, right? But, well, that's a different topic for a different time. But, you know, and I'm going to see this in my generation. By the time I'm 35, and the women that I'm around right here at 35, they're going to be 35, 40 or whatever. They're going to be bitter, right? Because they wasted their 20s on fucking. Most of them they're already doing it now, but they would have settled into jobs that don't fulfill them and make them happy. Probably a couple of cats, maybe some dogs. It's weird. Some of these women, they're not really becoming cat ladies. I'm kind of noticing that in my generation, it's dog ladies. I don't know if you've noticed that, but if you have, let me know. Or what you might think that is. I have a couple theories, but we'll move forward with that. But, you know, for what it's worth, the wall is unforgiving, right? I think I had another point. I'll probably bring it up. It'll probably come as I'm pontificating. But let's talk about what this means for dudes, what this means for men, right? Everybody wants to talk about their NAWALT. NAWALT. Not all women are like that, right? And this normally pertains to, you know, when dudes are talking about women, like, oh man, bitches are crazy, you know, and then, you know, you have the people that talk about, well, you know, I know that there are some crazy women out there, but not all women are like that. Not all women are crazy. Not all women, you know, act like that. Some women are this and that. You just gotta go find them. Blah 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 blah. Right? I mean, it's weird. Even then, like I say, there's a switch that happens in most of us to where, like, it's like we just can't accept, right, that, and look, don't get me wrong, it's a biological reality. It's something that our brains over, you know, millions of years of development had to I'll say adapt to, because if we didn't, then, you know, it'd be bad for the whole survival gimmick. So, but I even noticed guys like Stefan Molyneux, when he'll have a thing, you know, the Nawalt, and, you know, but then all of a sudden he starts talking about, you know, women and, you know, marriage, things of that nature. And, you know, he'll talk about, and a lot of what he says is true, right? Find the, you know, almost like put your truth out there, and, you know, that's kind of the thing that'll attract you to the person that you want to be with. And you know, it's one of those things, I'm not shutting down what he's saying, but I'm just saying that switch is there, and it's there for all of us. And one of these days, I'm going to get a real, more in-depth, discussion about that. But what does this mean for men? Well, like I say, the whole Nawalt. Well, this happens to all women. It does not matter who the woman is. It doesn't matter, you know, how great she is or how great she keeps up with her body and this and that. The wall hits. It hits them all hard eventually, right? And it's not pretty. Right now, of course, you know, look, and some of you, particularly of the colored persuasion, right? You know, they say, well, black don't crack, right? And look, you know, studies have came out and shown that yes, if you have melanin and, you know, you eat right and you get out into the sun and all this other good stuff, you can prolong your youthful appearance, things of that nature. Yes, there are validity that study is valid, but, you know, my point is still valid across the board, right? At the same time, they say black don't crack, but like, I've been to plenty of black churches, right? And there's been plenty of old, crusty looking ladies that I don't want to have anything to do with sexually. So, you know, and that's probably another video I can do for another time. But the point is, it happens to them all, right? And I'm trying to think of something else right here. I got so many thoughts flowing through my head, and when it does happen, right, it's seldomly, honestly, it's never a good thing for men. It's never a good thing, because at this point, what we see, you know, at this point, what we see is when this happens, you know, they say, well, you know, my sexual it increases at 35, da 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 da. But at the same time, why are there so many, like, you know, middle-aged people that are in sexless marriages? Right? I mean, at the same time, look, and here's the way I see it. Just because the world sees the value in women as their youth and beauty and their sexuality does not necessarily mean that women themselves value their sexuality, or should I say, I'll say value their sexuality the same way the world does. In fact, the world on the whole looks at women and says, all right, well, we want, you know, your sex, your youth, your beauty, right? Well, a woman, I mean, when women look at men and particularly, like, okay, they want protection, they want provision, you know, they want promotion, they want resources, and then will come, like, as far as the priorities for women, sex on the whole, it's not terribly high. And as the older you get, the more that actually slips. So why is it now? Well, look, we know that, right? We know that's obvious, but why is this a problem? Well, it's a problem for men because around 35, guess who reaches their peak? You, my guy. You, my gentleman. You start to reach your peak at 35 and 40. This is the time when your brain is fully developed. You've probably been in your career for at least 5 or 10 years. You're starting to make your money. You're starting to make moves. You're moving your way in the world. You're starting to really notice things, right? This is the time when you start to really step into who you're supposed to be. But at the same time, for the lot of us, you get trapped before that time. Before 35, most men, if they haven't been married or are married, they have a kid, right? They're already attached to some aging woman that really wants nothing to do with them. And like I say, what's one of the main things that men want is sex, but what's one of the last things that women want to give, particularly when they hit the wall? Sex. So here you are, you're kind of like, I'll say in your prime, maybe not necessarily your quote unquote physical prime, but your overall well-being, your overall prime, right? And you're stuck with this thing who's already old, biologically speaking, she's already over the hill. And guess what? She's not even halfway to death yet. So if you're there till death do you part, you have another 45 to 40 to 45, maybe even 50 years if you're unlucky enough to not have sex with this already aged human being. Let me repeat that. You have like another half century to spend your life with something that is already dated. And one more time, you still have about a half a century to spend your life with somebody who is already dated. All right. I mean, I'm hoping you're getting. So some of you guys, you might be young guys. You might be what, 25? Right? So take your whole life, except like, let's say even if you are 25, right? Your whole life up until now, imagine that times 2 for at least the rest of your life, for at least a good, 50 years. And you're going to spend that with somebody who, in many ways, doesn't want much to do with you. Now, there's reasons for why that is. We talk about hypergamy, things of that nature. And I won't go into it terrible much. Wow, where's my grammar? I won't get into it a lot now, but a reason for why that is because women, on the whole, they feel that they've settled. So like I say, women, it's almost like they make up their minds to be unhappy, right? They live in this world where everybody tells them, you need to be happy. We live in this world that says, where marketers, particularly marketers say, are you happy? If you're not happy, I got the pill, I got these shoes, I got the eyeliner, I got this, that, all to make you, you know why? Because you deserve it. So now, and this is subliminal thing, so now women go along and they think, well, I need to be happy. I should be happy. I should be happy. I should be happy. Oh my God, I'm not happy. What's wrong? Right? And it's really a hypergamous instinct for women to look at their men and the men around them and kind of gauge themselves. So at the same time, that's kind of why women don't like nice guys, right? Because once they've tamed a guy, right? Once they've settled a guy down, they kind of feel like, okay, well, I've conquered this. Right? Or I was already, like, if I was capable of taming this guy, then, shit, I could have, like, if I could go back into my youth and get a better guy, Right, somebody who could have made me more money, right? Somebody who could have provided more resources, somebody with a bigger dick, somebody taller, you know, somebody this and that. Like, I could have tamed that guy, but instead I took my everything and tamed this guy. And then you have the women who probably, you know, never married, probably had a kid, maybe divorced, maybe no kids, no marriage, no anything. And they get to a place and then they're just like, well, now I'm depressed because I'm unmarried, don't have kids, I don't have this and that, da 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 da. It's just like this malaise, this time of just fuckery, right? And then, gentlemen, then comes their 40s or, you know, maybe even their 50s, right? And then menopause. And after, like, first of all, they've already hit the wall. Like 30, they've already hit the wall. Then they have like another 10 to about 20 years of just kind of like, of just malaise, and then kind of like bitchiness, but just like malaise, kind of like, oh well, this and that. And then they get to that menopause state, and so now you have to deal with the woman who's like 10 to 20 years past her prime, not even past her prime. Her prime is 20 something, right? So she's 10 to, about 10 to 20 years past her prime, maybe 10 years past her expiration date, and now she gets uppity. She is at a place where she's just like, she thinks that she, you know, almost like now you have to deal with that shit. Right now she's in this with hormones going all crazy and all over the place, and now she's unhappy with this, and I'm doing that, and I'm getting hot flashes and this and that and all these things and all this shit you got to deal with. And now you're spending the best years of your life, you're spending your overall prime catering to somebody, Freudian slip, somebody that is years past where she should be. So gentlemen, like I say, there is no Nawalt in this regard. Look, she might be a great person, personality, she might all this other good shit, but this happens to them all. Over a long enough lifespan, all women are the same. Biologically, absolutely. I'd say, you know, mentally, emotionally, they all change, but at the same time, I forgot who said it, but it's the woman's prerogative to change, right? I forgot who said that. It was in a movie. If somebody knows, maybe you can let me know. But yeah, the wall hits hard, gentlemen. And look, if I were you, and if I was a young man, and I still am a young man, that's not something I want to get involved with. At the same time, if you want to know what that experience is, go talk to an old head. They'll be glad to tell you. They will be glad to tell you all about their problems. They will be glad as shit to tell you everything going on, with their, I mean, that's all old niggas do is just bitch about their wives and shit like that. So go on ahead, ask them. Matter of fact, and here's what you do. Don't even ask them in a way that's like very front and forward, right? Because they might sense that something's amiss. Here's what you do. And I'll tell you this, because most people, they enjoy to tear other people down. So I want you to approach an old head with the most youthful optimism you can possibly approach them with. I want you to approach them with so much positivity, they have to cut you down. You come through and you're like, oh man, I'm gonna get a woman and we're gonna be together and we're gonna be in love forever, and she's gonna be great, she's gonna be my rock, and she's gonna be my queen, and she's gonna stay that way, and we're just gonna be like, you lay it on thick, right? And we're just gonna grow together, and if there's problems, we'll just talk through it, and I can just rationally tell her all the things that I wanted to tell her, and I can really open up to her, and I can give her my heart, and she can get, I mean, you lay it on thick, like even like happy niggas, like old niggas that are, but they've gone through it, but they still like, and I'm telling you, there are some out there, right? There's some out there, old happy guys with their wife, and they're this and that, and even they'll tell you, son, you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about, right? But one more thing I wanted to throw in there, I think a reason for why that is, why the system is set up the way it is. When I say the system, I mean our biological systems are set up the way it is because we fall in love with the women, right? They don't necessarily fall in love with us. They fall in love with the stuff we have or what we can do for them, but they don't necessarily fall in love for who we are as people. If who we are as people brings them the stuff and the money and the things of that nature, yes, then they'll, then they'll start to pay attention. Like, look, on the whole, en masse, that's the way it is. Now, someone out there's like, oh no, no, Walt. Not all women are like that. Some will love you. Right. But at the same time, here's what I will say. Stay you, just stay you, and stay broke at 35. And see what women are still around you. All right. Talking shit, having ass motherfucker. But that's a different topic for a different time. But like I say, about the whole love thing, the reason why it's hard, why men, but because what I told you makes sense, right? What I told you was something that, yeah, I'm gonna spend it makes sense. Like, I'm gonna spend like another 50, 40, 35, whatever years with this chick who's already passed her date, and now I gotta deal with it. Well, why is that? Well, why do dudes do that? Well, because by this time they're chemically bonded to this chick. It's almost like the motherfucker from Twilight or some shit, and they just get bonded to this basic ass bitch, and it's just like, I don't know, I imprinted on her. Like, that's what, all my juice is, it's there. So now I my brain just has to make things work. So, with that, I don't know, I've been talking for a minute now. So I think I should wrap it up here. There's going to be plenty more to dish out later. Head on over to beaushit.com. There's an article. I'm starting to align everything together. So there is an article on this in the link is going to be in the description. If you want to support the channel, head on over to menlightenmentmanual.com or the Troy Mason Exchange. Plenty of things that we can that I can do for you. Plenty of ways that I can serve you, and plenty of ways that you can plenty of ways that you can support the channel. If nothing else, hey, at least leave a like. Right? At least, comment, tell me what you think about the wall. If you have any stories, any experience in the matter, I'd love to hear it. And subscribe. And look, with that, I've been your boy Troy. I am your friend, and I will see you on the other side.
The dick was good. But it's the only problem, though. She said the dick was so good that as she started rocking, she just got into it, and all of a sudden, she said something just hit her, bam, all upside his head, just slapped him. Dick will make you slap somebody. So y'all need to remember that. That's what I'm trying to deal with. The fact.
More like concept haters, cause I do not take shit. Maybe I may give shit. Give this misfit. Like a small condom on this dick. Words are like bullets, and my bullets go ballistic. Beat hit hard, Ray Lewis, hold a hit stick.